Okay. Hello. My name is Fimbz. This is Super Meat Boy. Is everything good to go? Am I ready to rock? Hello? Okay. I am good to go apparently. My name is Fimbz. This is Super Meat Boy. Platformer. It's supposed to be hard. Just a quick aside about this game in this category real quick. There's some setup stuff that I'd like to talk about before I start. I use a program to cap my FPS at 60 and keep it there because this game doesn't behave properly if you don't have it at 60 FPS with a refresh rate of 60. So there's that. Since I play on controller, we also use a program to bind buttons to key presses so we can skip the replays at the end of levels. Other than that, I think that's all I have. So let me open up Discord real quick so I can make sure I'm not missing anything, and then we're good to go. So if everyone's ready, I'm gonna count down and start. So, all right, go in 3, 2, 1, go. So this is the any percent no major glitches category. Obviously, basically, this game really doesn't have many super abusable glitches that are relevant. So the only one that I'm really going to use here is a minor one I just used. It's called auto jump. Basically, you see me open the pause menu really quick and then close it, and then all of a sudden I can jump on every frame without actually jumping. That's the only glitch we use, and it's pretty minor. Nothing you can't really do RTA. It just makes it easier to do some things. Other than that, this is just pure platforming. So we're just going through the forest here. This is pretty easy levels, obviously, because it's the first world. So we just try to optimize it as much as possible. Save tenths of seconds here and there. So right there, I did an auto jump, but I also did something called a storage jump. So at the end of each level, or when you die, the game stores Meat Boy's state. So if he's on the ground or a wall, at the beginning of the level, I can abuse that by auto jumping, and it'll keep that state in mind, and I can get a little bit more height and jump a little bit earlier to save some time. So I, randomly just kind of exit out to the map there, went back in. You only need 17 levels in each world to unlock the boss, and the boss is the way to the next world, so we don't need to do more than 17 levels. So we just pick the 17 fastest and do those. So this is going to be a little slugger, the first boss. It's just an auto scroller. Doesn't really matter how fast you do the level as long as you do it faster than the boss. A lot of bosses in this game really don't have, as far as speedrunning is concerned, they don't have much imagination. You just kind of have to get to the end of the level. So we just wait for him here. And that's the first world. So second world, still pretty easy, but it introduces a couple things. Also, the route for this world is really nice because you don't have to exit out to the map. You just do the first 17 levels and then that's it. The boss for this world is going to be a little more interesting though, which is cool. Oops, almost died there. It's fine. So this world introduces some things like fans, lasers, key blocks, all this good stuff. So here are fans. They kind of throw you up depending on their direction and orientation. They're a little tricky, especially for new players, because the way they work is just kind of finicky and not super easy to grasp right away. So, but they're not too bad once you get used to them. Also have these little blob guys. I think they're called oobs. Something else that's I've been doing intermittently, but can't really tell unless you know what you're looking at. Something called sprint jumping. So basically, when I'm jumping away from a wall and then coming back to that same wall, I'm releasing sprint initially and then re-holding it so that I don't have as much momentum going away from the wall and I can come back faster. This helps on like walls where I'm climbing up one direction a lot. And it also helps in some other places, but it's an optimization that higher level players will do all the time to save time like all across the run. Also have these, I think they're called ulcers. I don't know. They just kind of float around slowly and menacingly. They're not too bad though. So key blocks are pretty self-explanatory. You hit a key and it unlocks a series of blocks. Nothing too intense there, but it does allow for some cool skips later. So at the end of this level, we're going to set up a storage jump for the next level to skip a cycle, and it's probably the coolest like storage jump in the game. So normally you can't make that, but you can barely just make it if you do auto jump and you set up a storage jump. So that is all the regular levels for World 2. We're going to enter the boss. So this boss is a really cool skip in the middle. Basically, we're going to abuse the fact that the camera allows you to go slightly off screen without killing you. And we're going to get this key really fast. And skip a cycle here. And then we're going to auto jump on these blocks and get that other key and save a lot of time. And that is World 2. So World 3 is where the levels start to get kind of tough. There are some other mechanics introduced that, like fans, they're not too bad, but they're a little finicky. Whoops, that's not supposed to happen. We're gonna do a lot of basically trying to skip big parts of levels in World 3. And there's some mechanics. So that introduces these conveyor belts. Basically, obviously, they just push you in whatever direction they're facing, which isn't too bad. They can be on the ground or they can be vertical. If they're vertical, you can get a boost by jumping into them and going straight up, which is pretty cool. But otherwise, they're not too terrible. They just allow you to go pretty fast in one direction, which is cool, usually, unless they're the opposite direction of where you want to go. But like this vertical one, I get a big boost there by just jumping into it and skipping. I can skip a lot of the level just by doing that, which is cool. On this next level, we're gonna try to set up a skip to just kind of skip a bunch of platforming here. I didn't get it, unfortunately, but if you set yourself up very low on that conveyor belt, it'll just give you enough momentum to just go to the end of the level without having to go to the other side there. You also have these heat-seeking missile launchers. They're pretty annoying casually because they kind of overwhelm you, but once you know what you're doing, they're not too bad. There are still some places where they can be a nuisance, but overall, they're not terrible. We also have these crumbling blocks. Really not a whole lot to say about them. You hit them, and then they crumble, and then you can go through them. I just jump after I hit those on the top there to get a little bit of downward momentum and save a little bit of time. Also, if it looks like the game is like terrible quality, it is. I mean like visually, not the design or anything. I play on ultra low detail to, for one, it removes scenery, which I like. You can just see the level as it is, but for two, it improves load times and such. So this is a pretty tricky skip here. I'm gonna try. Didn't get it. I'm gonna try it a couple more times. But basically, if I set up an auto jump just right and do some other stuff, I can skip that platform. Got it there. Gonna try another really pretty difficult skip here. Didn't get it. You can abuse those unlocking blocks there. If you time it just right, they line up with a hole in the ceiling, and you can get on the top of the level and skip most of it. Which actually saves quite a bit of time. It saves about 6 seconds, which in any percent, it's pretty significant, because world record for this category is only about 17.5 minutes. So this boss has an unintended skip you can do here, where there's no like barrier at the other side of this level. So if we do a sprint jump, outside of where the level is intended to be, you could just kind of skip to the end, hit the end trigger. So the fourth chapter, Hell, difficulty is still really heating up here. This world's gonna feature like a lot of trying to skip cycles and pretty tight skips, so it's pretty cool. The platforming's nice and the aesthetics are pretty good. We skip a level right at the beginning here because the second one's like a really long auto scroller we don't want to do. There's a really difficult skip I'm gonna try here once. If I don't get it, no big deal, but... yeah, okay. If you jump really low on that wall, you can jump underneath of that wall on the right, and it can skip this platform. It's really tricky, though. Probably one of the hardest skips in the category. These moving platforms are tricky because, for whatever reason, they don't behave like normal geometry does. They are slightly smaller than they appear, and it's kind of a problem. A lot of times you drop inputs on them, which is a pain, and if you have like a lag spike at times, you could just clip through them, which is really annoying. I'm gonna try to skip a cycle here. I don't think I can do it now. No. This level is really tricky because it's all cycles, and if you mess something up, then it's kind of just ad-lib from there. Ah. Oh well. Also have these portals which they kind of just, you know, they're paired together, and wherever the other one is, it'll spit you out, conserve, you know, your momentum and everything, which is pretty rad. That level's pretty hard, so getting it first try is cool. Gonna do a little bit of a skip here. There we go. I'm gonna try for a skip here to skip the second laser. It's kind of tight. Nice, got it. Oops. You can do a little jump there to get underneath that laser. Save some time, which is cool. Oh, supposed to do it again there, but I messed it up. So these are kind of like these heat-seeking missiles we saw in the factory, but when they hit a wall, they explode into smaller, non-heat-seeking missiles. These can be obviously even more of a pain because even if you know what you're doing, they just split apart at the end, which can make them hard to dodge. Especially if you mess up a strat and you're kind of just winging it. But again, we skip a level there to get the 17th level. We just get underneath this block here so that the missile launcher can't see us. This boss is real boring. It's just an auto-scroller. You just kind of have to dodge his attacks, but if you stand in this one place, you can just jump to avoid 3 of them, and the rest of the time you don't have to move, so... great time to hydrate and drink some water after the 3rd attack here. Okay, water time. Alright, so chapter 5 is going to be the Rapture. It's easily the longest and hardest chapter in the game. A lot of this just comes down to attempting not to die. There are some really cool strats you can get, but overall, a lot of the levels just end up being so long that you just want to not take a death. There we go. So this world introduces these repulsors. They're like fans, but they just work in every direction. Again, really finicky, so they're kind of tough, but once you get used to them, they're not terrible. They actually allow for some pretty cool strats because of the way that they fling you if you get close to them, so it's pretty rad. Like, we abused that one there to just skip that second one entirely and save some time. We also have these switch blocks now, which they work just like key blocks, except there's no key. You just hit a button, so you can do it over and over again instead of just once. If you miss that key, you just have to start the level over because there's nothing below it to catch it. It just kind of falls into the abyss. Gonna skip an auto scroller here. Go to this level. They also have these zombie meat boys, which don't really behave consistently. So it makes them kind of annoying. I'm just gonna round them up there and get past them. But basically they just try to chase you, but sometimes they are a little weird in the way they aggro you. This saw on the right is a little lower than the saw on the left, so if we go over there, we can just have them die and then complete the level a little bit easier from there. Try to get a tight skip here. There we go. There's a warp zone here, which in casually it's just like a collectible that unlocks extra levels, but they're really slow if you accidentally grab one. Luckily that's the only place in the run where it can happen. Wow, that actually went really smooth. That level's pretty hard. Gonna skip all this level. There's a bunch of keys you're supposed to get, but we just kind of go around the outside here and skip all of it. There's a level coming up that's supposed to be like 30 seconds long, but we do it in like 3 because you can abuse one of the repulsors here. Oops, I missed the jump. Oops, there we go. That's not supposed to happen. Yeah, one more level here. Bit of an auto scroller, but it's not too bad. And then we got the final, or not the final boss, the boss of Rapture, which is Larry. Larry is a series of 3 worms that you need to get to jump into some saws. The setup for getting him to jump is really easy, but unfortunately it's random whether or not he will jump. So this is the major RNG point in the run. We just kind of get behind this set of saws and just wait for him to do his thing. So minimum is 3 cycles. Maximum is, and it's theoretically infinite, but we just kind of wait for him to go. This is already not looking great. We're at 4 cycles and only one of the worms jumped. Average is like 5 to 7 cycles. Alright, that's not terrible. Not great, but not bad. So now we're gonna go on to the final world. Unlike the other worlds, this world only has 5 levels, which is kind of rad, but we can't skip any of them. So, it's gonna do them all. Again, there's a lot of keys you're supposed to get here. We're just kind of abuse the geometry and kind of skip to the end. Oops. Get in there. There we go. Gonna try for a skip here, maybe. Cycle skip. Nice, got it. That's pretty clean. Well, 2 more levels. Last level is gonna have a kind of tricky skip at the end, but it shouldn't be too bad. Whoops. Oh god, okay. I got stuck on a wall there and slowed me down a little too much to make that cycle. There we go. Kind of squeeze in between those two saws there. That was sketchy. Ugh. I'm gonna set up a skip here. It's pretty precise. There we go, we got it. There's this key up there we can get, but it's kind of long to get, and we just don't want to do it. So we set up an auto jump there to go around it. So this is the final boss. Basically, it's an auto scroller. So again, we just want to get through the level and then wait. But there are these two saw towers that kind of prohibit us from doing that, but luckily they're not too bad to, I think I just dropped a bunch of inputs, that was kind of weird. But basically there are these towers of saws, and we can get around them pretty easily, so mainly we just kind of do that, and it makes the level a lot easier. We don't have to wait for Fimbz to catch up to us or to shoot rockets at us. We can kind of just do everything at our own pace. So I'm going to get outside of them here, and then we're just going to go to the end of the level real quick. And then wait for him. And then there's going to be an escape sequence right after this, and then the run's going to be done after the end of the escape sequence, so. The time's coming up at the end of this level. Oops. And time. Well, that is Super Meat Boy, any percent, no major glitches. Thanks for having me. Pretty short run, nothing too insane, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. My name is Fimbz. Check out this game, it usually goes on sale for like $1 every once in a while. Yeah, I'm just gonna let the credits roll, but thanks for having me, guys. It's been great.